Hello, David here at merchantaccounts.ca. Today I'm going to tackle a quick but important question. What are international or cross-border credit card processing fees? Stay tuned, we're going to dig in a second. When transactions cross a border as a merchant, you pay more money. And I should probably be specific in my explanation. There are two things that Visa and Mastercard look at every time a transaction is processed. One, where is the merchant domiciled? Now, that's a very clear answer. Your business is incorporated or registered somewhere. That is the location of your business. That is the region of domicile of your business. I'm Canadian, so if I registered a business in Canada, I'm a Canadian merchant. That part's easy to understand. The second thing, because there's two things they look at on every transaction, the second thing they look at is where is the cardholder based? But actually, the technical thing they look at, where is the bank located that issued this card to this cardholder? If the bank, let's just say that I'm a Canadian merchant, so I'm Canadian, and let's say I sell something to a customer in Rhode Island and they're with Wells Fargo or some US bank. Visa's like, okay, merchant's Canadian, card issued by Wells Fargo in Rhode Island. Hey, this crossed the border. Let's assess some cross-border fees, some international transaction fees. That's what kicks it off. I suppose the next thing we should look at, though, is how much those cross-border fees are. This can be a little confusing, so stick with me for a second. When a transaction is processed, if you bill that foreign cardholder in the cardholder's local currency, the cross-border fee is actually more. It's 1% per transaction from Visa and Mastercard. I'm recording this in 2021. I know that's a little confusing, so let me say it again. I'm Canadian, I billed John in Rhode Island. Now I billed him directly in US dollars because at merchantaccounts.ca we do multi-currency processing, and it's always best to bill your cardholder in their local currency for their own comfort. So I billed John in US dollars. Well, because he's an American customer and we charged his card in US dollars, his local currency, Visa and MasterCard will assess a cross-border fee of 1% for that transaction. Had I billed John in any currency on earth other than US dollars, the cross-border fee is reduced by half. It would have been 0.5%. I know that often seems counterintuitive, people get confused by it, but it is correct. Visa and MasterCard assess a higher international or cross-border transaction fee if you bill a cardholder in the cardholder's local currency. As a last note on this, just as like a little e-commerce tip, if you did a lot of sales, let's say that I'm still the Canadian merchant in my example here, let's say I did a ton of US sales to US customers, like $10 million a year. 1% of $10 million a year is, oh my gosh, $100,000. I should have written this down before I give this example because I just proved I can't do math in my head quickly. That's okay. It's a lot of money. And so I'm like, hey, it is worth it for me to do whatever it takes to avoid this cross-border fee from happening. Well, what I would do is I would incorporate in the States. I would incorporate a branch or an office in the States. And that would let me get a US domestic merchant account. And it would prevent cross-border fees from occurring. And it's totally worth it if you do enough sales. It's totally not worth it if you don't, because think about it. I'd have to incorporate in the States. There's a cost to that. I have another tax return. That doesn't sound like fun. I have to deal with the IRS. Well, I want to deal with that as much as I want a root canal. So unless there's a real reason to want to do it, then don't consider it. But as soon as you cross a threshold, and I can't tell you how much money is worth it because you have to deal with all those extra administrative headaches, but at some point it's like, wow, we are paying out enough money in cross-border fees that eliminating this would be like a significant chunk of revenue to our business. That's when you pull the trigger, you prevent your transaction from crossing a border by getting a domestic merchant account in that country. These are exactly the type of issues that we help out with at merchantaccounts.ca. And if you have any questions, reach out to us because we don't believe there are any silly questions. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching and have a good day there.